For this video, we'll be using blue, yellow, gray, and black yarn, a 3.5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a darning needle, stitch markers, plastic eyes, and some fabric glue. Some of the stitches used in this video include the single crochet, double crochet, a magic circle, increase, invisible decrease, and a double crochet decrease. To make our Minions costume, we started with the blue overalls, which we made using the pattern from the Hello Kitty overalls video. But here we use blue yarn instead of pink. And here is the video. We're going to start by making 17 chains. We have our slip knot. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Next, we're going to put our chain in a circle. So we're going to put our hook through the first chain on the other side. And then we're going to make a slip stitch. Then after our slip stitch, we're going to go into the next stitch and make a single crochet. That's our first single crochet. We're going to get our stitch marker as usual and put it into our first single crochet. Then we're going to move on to our second crochet, our third, and we're going to keep going around until we have 17 single crochets. We're on number 16, and then we have one more right in here for number 17, and now we're finished with our row. For row number 2, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 17 single crochets all the way around. Starting with our first single crochet, we're going to stick our stitch marker on there. And then we're going to continue to make single crochets all the way around. And then we're just going to finish off our stitches by weaving them through and then cutting the ends. And once we have all of our ends cut, we're going to move on to our next row. And for these miniature pant legs, we're going to have to make 2 of them because they're a pair of pants. Now that we're done with our first pant leg, we're going to flip it around because it looks better this way and it matches the rest of the stitches. We have our second pant leg, and this one we're going to turn it as well so that the stitches match each other. Now that we've finished both of the pant legs, we'll be using these top stitches to crochet them together. The bottom stitches of the legs can be aligned in any position. We're going to take our crochet hook and put it through one of the crochet stitches on one of the legs, and then through the crochet stitch on the other leg. We're going to make a loop on our yarn and then place it on our crochet hook. Then we're going to pull it through both of the stitches on the legs. We're going to make a slip stitch, and then we're going to go back into those same stitches and make a single crochet. Then we're going to go into the next 2 stitches and make another single crochet for our second one. Then into the next set of stitches to make our third single crochet. And now we should have 3 single crochets for the middle of our pants. Now we're going to make crochets around the pants. We're going to start with our left side leg. So we're going to make a single crochet. And here we're going to add our stitch marker so that we know that this is our first crochet going around the pants. Then we're going to make a second single crochet, third, and we're going to keep doing this until we get all the way around the pants. Crochet number 15 is going to be in that middle stitch. We're going to make a crochet there, and then 16 is going to be on the other leg, and then we're going to continue to make the single crochet all the way around. For stitch number 30, it's going to be in the middle stitch. And once we're done making this stitch, we're done with our first row for going around our pants. We're ready to move to the next row. We're going to start our row on our next leg, and we're going to start with a single crochet. We're going to put our stitch marker on that single crochet and move on to our second crochet in the next stitch. Then our third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and our seventh single crochet. Now we're going to start with a double crochet. We're going to yarn over and make our double crochet. We're going to put a stitch marker on here just so that we know we've started our double crochets. So that's our first double crochet, and then second, third, fourth. We're going to continue these double crochets until we have 16 of them. And now we're on our 16th double crochet, and we're going to go into single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, our 4th, 5th, 6th, and our 7th single crochet, and this also ends our row. We're going to do this same sequence another 3 times, so at the end we should have a total of 4. And now we're on our last crochet on our final row of a total of 4, and as you can see on the back, you can count the double crochet sections. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to continue with our next row. We're going to start our row with 4 single crochets. There's 1. We're going to put our stitch marker on our first crochet here. Then we have 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to make 9 chains. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 8, and 9 chains for our strap. Next, skip 3 chains. There's 1, 2, 3, and on this 4th chain, we're going to do a slip stitch. Then 2, a chain, and now we're going to do 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5. And now we're going to do 2 double crochet decreases. We're going to yarn over, go through the outer loop on the first stitch, then the outer loop on the second stitch. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook. And then yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops on the hook. We're going to do another double crochet decrease in the next 2 stitches. We're going to yarn over, go through the outer loops of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through the outer loops, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops on the hook. And now we're going to do 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5. And then we're going down these stitches and we're going to make a slip stitch in that next stitch. And we're going to do 9 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we're going to skip 3 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go into this 4th stitch as a single crochet. Then we're going to do another and 1 last single crochet, a total of 3. And now we're ready to go on to the next row. We're going to start with 3 single crochets. There's 1. Let's put a stitch marker on there before we forget. 2, and then 3. But we're actually going to make another 9. So we're going to go up in our strap and make another 9 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. We're going to place our hook into the next open stitch, not this one down here, but this one on top here. So we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to go into making 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. And then we're going to do 3 double crochet decreases. There's 1, 2, and our third double crochet decrease. And then we're going to go into 3 double crochets on our last 3 stitches here. There's 1, 2, and then our third double crochet. And then we're going to go into a single crochet in our strap. There's 1. There's a total of 9 single crochets in the strap. There's number 2, number 3, and now we're on our 9th crochet on our strap, and we're going to attach it into the next stitch as a slip stitch. And then we're going to stop right here rather than go to the stitch marker. We're going to cut our yarn, pull it through, and then we're going to get our darning needle. We have our darning needle, and then we're going to skip a stitch, go into that stitch to make our little fake stitch, and then back into the back loop of our beginning stitch. And then we're just going to make sure that our fake stitch is the same size as the others, and it looks like it's blending in. So now I'm going to weave in the yarn to the stitches in the back. It's all kind of random. I'm sure there's a way to really weave them in, but I just kind of choose random stitches in the back. I like to choose around 3 of them. And then we're going to tuck that yarn in to see how our overalls look. We're going to remove our stitch marker, and it looks pretty good, so we'll just cut this yarn off. And now we've completed our cute little pink overalls, and all we have left to do is to add a little flower in the front.
Instead of making a flower, we'll be making a pocket. We're going to start with 4 chains. Here's our slip knot. And there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 chains. And then we're going to do 3 single crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3 single crochets. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets. There's 1, and 2 single crochets. And then we're done with our little pocket. We're going to pull out our yarn, and then we're going to weave in our tails, and just weave it into a few of the stitches. Let's just go up here, and then this tail. Let's go down this way. Oops. And just cut that. And here's our little tiny pocket. And we can glue this onto our overalls. And here we have our little pocket and our overalls, and I'm just going to glue it right here in the middle. Then we just have to wait for it to dry. And if you want to add little buttons to the overalls, we can just get a piece of yarn, and then we're going to just wrap one of the tails around 3 times. There's 1, 2, and 3 times, then pull it all together. You get a semi big knot here, and then we're just going to put it into our overalls. So here we have our darning needle on one side, and then we're going to go next to our strap here. We have one side in, and then we have the other side. And then we're going to put it in the other stitch here, and then tie it together. And then we're going to cut off our tails. And then we're done with this little button looking thing for our strap. We're going to do one on the other side. And here we added our second little button, and we're done with our overalls. And here we have the Labubu all-purpose hoodie in yellow. We made this using the pattern from our previous video, and here it is. To make our Labubu hoodie, we're going to start with 8 chains. We're going to make a slip knot, and then 8 chains. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then we're going to make another 2 chains. There's 1 and 2. So that's a total of 10 chains. Now we're going to make our first double crochet in this 3rd chain. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. And then we're going to put our stitch marker in this first double crochet. Then we're going to continue making our double crochets. There's number 2, 3, 4. Oops, let's try that one more time. Number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and then for number 8, 9, 10, and 11, we're going to put it all in this top chain. So we're going to start with number 8, then number 9, number 10, and number 11. And here I'm going to turn the work to the side because we'll be working the other side. So for number 12, we're going to go into this next open spaces. They're kind of hard to see, but you'll just have to kind of use your fingers to open them. So here we are. We're going to yarn over, put in number 12, number 13, number 14, number 15, '16, 17, 18, and in this last crochet we're going to do 19 and 20. So there's, we got to yarn over and do number 19 and number 20. And now we're done with our first row of double crochets. For our next row, we're going to do an increase of a double crochet. We're going to yarn over, insert, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And that's our first double crochet. And then we're going to put our stitch marker on that. And then in this same stitch, we're going to do another double crochet for an increase. And then we're going to do 7 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7. And then we're going to do 3 increases of our double crochets. So there's 1, and we're going to make our increase with our second double crochet in the same stitch. And then in our next stitch, another 2 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and then in this last stitch of our increases, we have 1, 2. Then we're going to move on to do 7 double crochets. There's, oops, yarn over. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And then we're going to end with 2 increases in each stitch. So there's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and in the next stitch 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets. Now let's count our crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. For row number 3, we're going to start with a double crochet increase. There's our first double crochet. We're going to put our stitch marker on there. Then we're going to yarn over and do our second double crochet to make that increase in that same stitch. And next we're going to do 9 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then we're going to do 4 double crochet increases. We're going to yarn over and do our first double crochet in 1 stitch, and then make our second double crochet in 1 stitch for the increase. That's 1, there's our second increase, and then here we have our third increase, and now we're at our 4th increase. And then we're going to move on to doing 9 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and number 9. And then we're going to end with 3 double crochet increases. There's our first increase, our second increase, and our third increase. let's count our crochets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and number 34. For row number 4, we're going to start with 4 double crochets. There's 1. We're going to put in our stitch marker. We have 2, 3, and 4. And here we're going to make the opening for the ears. We're going to make 12 chains. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 chains. Then we're going to skip 8. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on this 9th crochet, we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And when doing this, you want to make sure you keep your tension really well. Then we're going to start with our 2nd double crochet. There's 2, 3, and number 22. Let's count our crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and number 38. For row number 5, we're basically doing almost the same thing. From row number 4, we're going to start with 4 double crochets. There's 1. Going to add our stitch marker. There's 2, 3, and 4. After our 4 double crochets, we're going to make single crochets in the chain. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
12. Let's try this one more time. Number 12. And after number 12, we're going to start doing double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and number 22. And let's count our crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and number 38. For row number 6, we're going to be doing 25 double crochets. This is basically the front of the hoodie, and so it'll end before we reach the stitch marker. So we're going to start with a double crochet. It's our first. And we're going to be doing 25 double crochets. There's number 2, 3, 4, and number 25. And we're going to end right here rather than up here at number 25. Let's count our crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. For row number 7, we're going to do 2 chains. There's 1, 2, and we're going to turn our work, and then we're going to make 29 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and here we're going to remove our stitch marker.
24, 25, 26, 27, oops, 27, 28, and number 29. And now we're done with that row. Let's count our crochets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. For row number 8, we're going to start with 2 chains. There's 1, 2, and for this double crochet, we're going to put it in this same stitch, so the first stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2, and this will be our first crochet. And then there's our second, third, fourth, number 28, and here we are on 29. And then we're going to do one more here for number 30. And now we're going to make our strap with chains. Going to do 23, 1, 2, 3, 21, 22, and 23. But you can choose however many chains you want, but I'll just do 23 on this side and 20 on the other side. For the strap on the other side, we're not going to go through the first crochet, but we're going to go into the corner, this here, and then we're going to make a slip stitch, and I'll count that as my first chain. Then there's 2, 3, and number 20. And we're going to pull out our yarn, and get our darning needle, and then we're just going to go through the stitches on the back side to weave in the tail. It's going to go through 3, I'm just going to go back down to that first one. And I'm going to cut the yarn. And now we're finished with our Labubu all-purpose hoodie. To make the eye, we're going to start with a magic circle. And then we're going to make 6 single crochets inside. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to pull our tail and make it into a circle. For our next row, we're going to do an increase in each of the crochets. There's 1. Let's get our stitch marker. And we're going to put another single crochet in the same stitch for our increase. And then we're going to keep doing an increase in each of the crochets. We should have a total of 12 at the end of the row. And here we're on our last increase. Here we're finished with our row, and we should have 12 single crochets, and we're ready to move on to our next row. But let's tighten up our magic circle a little bit so that it's fully closed. For our next row, we'll be doing a single crochet and an increase all the way around. So we're going to start with our single crochet and get our stitch marker. And then in our next crochet, we're going to do an increase. We're going to keep repeating that all the way around. So we're going to do a single crochet and an increase. And here we're on our last single crochet and an increase. And we should have 18 single crochets going all the way around. For our next 2 rows, we're going to be doing 18 single crochets all the way around. But for these next 2 rows, we'll be using our gray yarn to make the outline of the goggles. So we're going to start with our color change. To do the color change, we're going to go into the next stitch. And since we're doing yarn unders, I'm going to start with a yarn under, and then I'm going to grab the gray yarn, put it over the hook, and pull it through the 2 loops. And then we're going to start like we do regular single crochets. So here I'm holding the gray yarn, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, or in my case, I'm going to yarn under, pull through, and then do a yarn over to make that single crochet. And then we're going to continue to doing these gray single crochets until we get to the end of the row, and then we're going to repeat it for our next row. So here we should have 18 gray single crochets. And here we are at the beginning of our first single crochet. So we're going to do our last, we could have put a stitch marker there. We're going to do our last gray single crochet for this row, and then we're going to start with our next row. So we're going to go into that first gray single crochet, and then here we're going to put our stitch marker, and then we're going to continue until we have 18. So that will complete our second row. Here we're on our last gray single crochet, and that completes our row. So we're going to finish off our row, and let's remove the white yarn also. Then remove our stitch marker. We're going to pull this through. Then we're going to get our darning needle. So here we have our darning needle. We're going to make our fake stitch. So we're going to skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, and then we're going to go back into that original stitch, but just in this outer loop. And that'll make a stitch, and then we'll just make it look like the rest of the crochets. And then we're just going to weave this end through, and then back into the back here. And now we've completed our eye and goggle combo, and we need 2 of these. So here I just finished the last part of the goggles, and I weaved it down to the beginning of the eye so I can use this tail. But if you already weaved it through and cut it off, just start with a new piece of yarn, and then we're just going to attach our goggles. So I'll just find where we weaved it off, and then I'm going to put our darning needle through these 2 stitches so that they come together. And then I'm just going to go back in and then go through the next 2 stitches on this eye here. So we have our 2 goggles put together. And here we're just going to weave this tail through. And put it in the knot. And then we can just cut the tail off. And here we're done with our goggles. And we're going to put our little pupils in there, and you can either make them or you can just put the plastic ones in. So here I'm going to use the plastic eyeballs, and I'm going to put glue on the back. And then I'm going to place them anywhere on this eyeball, depending on how silly I want it to look. So I can put one here and maybe one on the other side that's not in the same area. So with the other side, I can just place it maybe looking up top. So he looks kind of goofy, but you can place him anywhere you'd like. And then we're going to work on our strap. To make the strap for our goggles, we're going to make an I-cord. So for the I-cord, we're going to need 3 times the amount that we actually need. So let's measure out our strap. Here we have our Labubu with the hoodie, and the strap would go from around here where the eye is to the other side of the eye. So here we have where it starts, and we're going to end it about right here also. So this is how much we need to go around her head and attach the goggles, but we're going to need 3 times this amount. So here we have 2 times the amount, and then here we have 3 times the amount. And just so that we don't run out, I'm going to do 4 times the amount. And we can always cut the excess because we'll need some to actually tie the goggles on. So here we're going to have 4 times the amount, and we're going to mark this area here for right now. Let's get a stitch marker. So I'm going to put the stitch marker through the yarn so that we can save this place. Okay, so this is going to be one part of the yarn that goes towards us, and then we're going to have the working part of the yarn that goes above. But before we make the I-cord with this black yarn, because it's hard to see and it's not very visible, we're going to use a white yarn. So here we have our white yarn, and then we have one side here where it's our measured out length, and then the other side here is our working yarn. So we're going to have to put a knot in the middle of our yarn strand. So to do that, we're going to put our tail of the yarn, where we measured it out, over our working yarn. So like this. So you have this loop where the tail is over the working yarn. Then you're going to get the hook, and you're going to go through this loop. So from underneath and up, we're going to put our hook. Okay. And then we can hold this area together, the X, and then we're going to yarn over the working yarn and then pull through the loop. And then we have our slip knot in the middle of our yarn strand. And then we're ready to work on our I-cord. Once we have our slip knot, we're going to take our hook and we're going to go underneath the tail here. And then we're going to have these 2 loops on our hook. Then we're going to go up here to our working yarn. We're going to yarn over and pull through these 2 loops. And that's our first stitch of our I-cord. So we're going to continue that. We're going to go underneath the tail, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through with the working yarn. Underneath the tail, the 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops with the working yarn. So again, we're going underneath, making 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops with the working yarn. So again, underneath the tail, pull that loop up, you have 2 loops,
yarn over, and pull through the 2 loops with the working yarn. Underneath the tail, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both the loops. Going underneath the tail, pulling up a loop, yarn over, and pull through the 2 loops with the working yarn. We're going to continue to do the same steps until we're finished making our I-cord. And then we're going to move on to the black yarn. So here we are with our black yarn, and we're going to make our slip knot in the middle. So we have our tail crossing our working yarn. We're going to go up from the bottom into this loop, and then we're going to hold this X with our thumb and our middle finger, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through with the working yarn, making that slip knot. And then when we pull our working yarn, it'll make it tighter. So then here we have our normal crochet hold, and then we're going to go underneath the tail, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through with the working yarn. So underneath the tail, we're going to pull up 2 loops on the hook, yarn over on the working yarn, and pull through the 2 loops. And we're going to continue until we have 45 stitches. And so here is our 45th stitch of our I-cord, and then we're going to cut our yarn. This is the working yarn we're cutting, and then we're going to pull it through, and then here we're going to make a knot. And then we're going to attach this to our goggles. So now we're ready to attach it to our goggles. We're going to get our darning needle, and we're going to put one of the strands through. And then here we're going to go through at least 2 of these stitches. So here's 1 stitch, and then another pair of stitches. And then we can just tie this other side. Make a knot here. Then we're just going to weave the ends through on the I-cord. So just weave this through these stitches here. Then we'll go through the other side. just cut this. And then we're done with one side of our strap for our goggles, and then we'll just attach this other side. And since we don't have any yarn for this other side, we can just add some. So we'll just put it through these stitches here. And we'll tie them in a knot. Sew them on just like we did this side. And now that we're finished attaching our strap to the other side of the goggles, we're finished with our goggles. So here we have our Have a Seat Labubu, and here's our overalls. We're just going to put them on. Get our arms in. Then we have the hoodie. I'm going to place the hoodie over her ears. Have our key ring. And then if you don't want to tie it in the front, you can just tie it in the back. So we have on the hoodie. And all we need is her goggles. So here we have our eyes and goggles. I kind of fixed my eyes there. And then if it's too long in the back here, you're just going to pinch that together. Get a piece of yarn and then tie it. And make a knot. And then cut off the ends. And then here we have our Labubu in the minion outfit. And here you can add some hair if you want, but we just have a bald minion. And another thing that you could add to your minion, other than hair, is little booties. So you can make some little booties. This was on our panda video on how to make these little booties. And you can just slip them on. There's one. I think this would look better if it was standing, but sitting, it's okay too. So here we are with our little bald minion with little booties.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Sorry for all the weird color changing backgrounds, but I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Have a great day.